I'm going to show you how to work into a thumb and create a thumb hole. And for my design for the thumb hole, what I did here was I had 4 stitches or 4 holes in my, or 4 chains in my openings, and then the side stitches. So I wanted to keep my pattern the same for the Tabby Star pattern, which is where it has this kind of knit look on that. So I'm going to turn mine inside out. But if you're doing just a single crochet, you don't have to turn yours inside out. You can just start where you left off, and you can start in the corners. I'm going to go ahead and start in the corner, and I'm going to go around. There's going to be a gap. You can remedy that gap at the end by sewing it together. But I'm going to join my yarn. So this is how you use your thumb, pull it through, and I kind of pinch on it so it doesn't get too wide. Then I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to do a half double crochet, 2 of them, 2 half double crochets in the same stitch, and then I'm going to start working my chain stitches, which are 1, 2, 3, and 4. And for these, I'm going to work into both loops to start and do a half double crochet in each of those chains. It's a little odd when you're working such a small hole, but for those of you that do amigurumi, which I think I said that right, I'm sure this is not that difficult, but I don't do amigurumi very much. Although I did do a baby Yoda, which I thought was really cute. So I'm going to work around this side chain, 2 of them, 2 half double crochets, and then I'm going to start into the other chains, the 4. So now I'm back around at the beginning. And I want to work these the same as I did before with my other rounds with working half double crochet in the back. I'm just going to work this in the round. I'm not going to work a join. So I'm going to yarn over and work in the 3rd loop of each half double crochet around. And that's also going to leave a little bit of a gap. Like I said though, if you leave a long tail for your starting, you can close it up, no problem. Close it when you start to weave in the tails. So I'm going to also use a stitch marker to mark that first stitch. So for the thumb, work in the round into the 3rd loop. Just want to make sure that actually is my 3rd loop. Yes, it is, because it's really hard to tell. I'm going to keep going around, and there's my starting stitch. So move my stitch marker up to the new one there. And so here again, we're going to keep working into the 3rd loop around. But when you come up to the end, or however you decide your length you want, then that's when we're going to start doing a decrease, my desired height, and I'm going to show you how to do the decreases. So at the beginning of your round, you're going to want to do a decrease. We do a half double crochet into 2, so half double crochet 2 together. You're going to yarn over, insert your hook, pull up a loop, then you're going to yarn over again, insert your hook into the next stitch, pull up a loop, and there you'll have 5 on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 5, and that's a half double crochet 2 together, and it's your decreasing 2 stitches down to 1. I'm going to turn it inside out. So when you turn it inside out, you can see that the pattern carries on to the thumb. And then when you see these holes here, you can sew together to close the gap, close those gaps up. Okay, so there's the thumb hole. Now we're going to work the top of the mitten, and the top of the mitten is basically going to lay on top like this, and then it's going to close you in. So if you wanted to work just a regular mitten, like a mitten that doesn't have a fingerless glove and it just goes all the way to the top, the way you would do that is when we started at the beginning like this, you would want to make the distance between here and your thumb hole as long as your fingers. So instead of, it would basically be that long instead. So when you have your opening here, you would measure from here down to here, and that's how long you would want your opening to be. Let's work the mitten flap. The mitten flap is worked the exact same way as your pattern for the beginning of your glove or your mitten, the exact same way. So it starts off with a chain 25, single crochet in each of the chains, work a half double crochet in the next round, and then half double crochet in the third loop for every round after that for your desired length. The top of the mitten pattern I worked in the round with no seam, and the reason I did that was because I wanted it to have just a little bit more of a design of a seamless design for the top part. And what I've done here is I've worked chain 25 and I've worked all the way up, and I've done 11 rounds. Top of the mitten, I've completed my 11 rows. I'm going to make them loose because if I don't, then this is very stretchy right now. If you do tight slip stitches, it won't have a lot of stretch. So I'm just going to do a very loose slip stitch in each of my 25. I've come to the beginning of my round again and where my stitch marker is, so I'm going to work one last slip stitch into that final slip stitch, final half double of that round, and there's where I'm going to cut my yarn. Now we're going to actually attach it and sew it to the main part, and I'm going to show you guys how to sew up this. And this is why leaving a long tail is good. I didn't leave a long enough tail at the beginning, so leave a really long tail at the beginning, and then you'll be able to sew this up without having to weave in a bunch more tails. To close up the top of the mitten, we're going to turn it inside out first, and then we're going to use the same technique that I used to close up a lot of hats. I'm going to go through the center. I'm going to pull it through until I leave a decent length of tail, and then I'm going to go through that same stitch with a whip stitch, so it just pulls tight like that. Then you're going to kind of puff it out a little bit and start pulling in from the sides to the center and back out the other side, and pull it tight. Now before you get too far, turn it inside out and check to see when you have it like this if it leaves you enough room on top for your fingers. If it doesn't, then crochet a few more rows, but if it does, keep going and make it tighter. Put your fingers inside of it, and you can see the 4 little holes. So we want to secure this one we just did again, so we're going to go back through there, back through the other side, bring it up around and close that tight like that. So you'll have 4 holes there. I usually stick my finger through one of the holes, come up through the center, close that hole, stick through there, come up through the center, close that hole, and turn it inside out and see what it looks like on the other side, which I think it looks pretty great. So that will be the top of the mitten. Now we're going to attach it to the bottom of the mitten, or the actual mitten itself. And what I wanted to say for the design purposes, when you're doing yours, you want this piece to come just down to your thumb, like that, so that it's actually, everything's all closed in and feels good. So when you actually wrap it back around like this, that it comes down far enough so that it keeps your hand, actually keeps warm. And there's the function part of my designs. So yay, we're almost there. Okay, so we're going to attach the top part of the mitten to the main part. So that's going to attach right there. And I'm going to attach it right here, but to make sure I go through both. All right, now it's attached. So that's about where I'm going to sew this on, so that when I flip it over, it'll be just perfect and cover up just what I need. Okay, so let's go ahead and start sewing in. We're going to sew with everything right side facing out. Right side facing out. I'm going to go on the inside here, and I'm just going to go through the first stitches that I made with my stitch marker. You can test it by pulling it forward and seeing if you like the way it looks. If you don't, you can unravel it. Yeah, I don't know if I like the way that looks, honestly. I think I could do better. What do you think? So for the first stitch, I'm going to go through these two slip stitches here, which are in the front, and I'm going to work through this part of the pattern instead of the other part. Pull through, leaving a little bit of an extra long tail, not extra super long, but long enough that you can get back through it. And we're going to work back through here and secure it just one more time through that same stitch. And we're going to do a whip stitch across. If you feel comfortable, you can remove your stitch marker. So remember, we're going to work through these two stitches, so we leave this front stitch here. So we're going to work through these two on the bottom, on the mitten part. I mean on the top of the mitten part. But when we get down to here, we're going to work through the center of the stitch, the half double crochet that's in between. So it leaves the pattern without messing up the pattern, and I hope this will work. We'll see if that fixes the problem. Let's see. Oh yeah, that is much better. Much better than before. What do you think, you guys? It's like when we put it on. Looks a little uneven to me, but let's see there. So that's what we have so far. I think I'm going to do maybe one more. Secure it so it's a little bit tight right there. And let's see if that made it a little bit better. Yeah, I think that did. And then we're going to show you how to attach, put the button on, and then this will flip up this way, and you just wrap it right around your hand when you're cold. And it looks like, yes, that looks much more seamless than the other one did, doesn't it? It matters. The little details matter, believe it or not. All right, we're almost there. Okay, so for this part, this isn't easy. We're going to make a little tiny hole, a little tiny loop for your buttons. And this is the fun part, you guys. You get to decide what kind of button you want to put on your glove. But I think I'm going to go with this mid-size button. I like that one, and it seems to fit the pattern good. First, we're going to go through and turn this inside out. So when you have your tails over here, the ones you haven't weaved in yet, if you haven't already weaved them in. So we're going to bring this through to the other side. And we're going to make a little buttonhole. There. So when you bring it back out, you have your little topper. Then to attach a button, so here you're going to attach your button where it comes just enough so that you can hook it on there like that. My thumb in the bottom and put it through and kind of find where the hole is on the front. Okay, so once you get your button attached, you can go over this more times if you need to, or if you want to secure it. But once you do that, you're going to cut this and then weave in all your tails. So there we have our finished, well, aside from the tails being weaved in, of course, our finished mittens. And mine do not have thumbs yet because I didn't want to put thumbs on them yet. And there you put your button on there like that, and it holds it in place. So when you get cold, all you do is take your little piece out there and wrap your hands up. And the great thing about this is you still have use of your thumb, so you can text while you're on your lunch break. Okay guys, well, thank you so much for going through this tutorial with me and for watching all my commercials. That's how I get paid, so I appreciate that. And it really helps me out when you watch all my videos. If you like what I do, please subscribe to my channel, hit the notification button, which is the little bell, and also hit the like button on this video so it can get pushed up. Thank you guys so much, and I hope you enjoyed learning how to crochet a mitten. Sorry if it took too long, but if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. And just a friendly reminder, this pattern for the Tabby Star Mittens will be on my blog, and it'll also be in a PDF form if you like that. Thanks guys, happy crocheting, stay warm.